Wanna go for a walk? Dry now? Should we let the rest of the air dry for a bit and have a break? Should we have a break? Have a little rest? Yeah? Under your chin like this. Your ears go through here. Is it going to block the sun? Your eyes. Oh, it doesn't fit you properly. Come here. Come here. Come here, come on. Oh dear. Is it a bit small? Is it a little bit small? That's not going to do much, is it? That's not going to do much. We take it off. Here, Mum. Oh, little poor boy. Poor boy. Maybe we'll get you a bigger hat. Should we get you a bigger hat? What do we reckon? Should we get you some sunglasses? Do you think? He's not been very happy with me since his groom this morning. Hates the bath, he hates any kind of water. He's very, very good for his groom. He's very patient, he's very well behaved, he knows exactly what's happening. He's been groomed every 6 weeks since he was a puppy, so he's more than used to being groomed. I decided that I wanted to groom Ronnie myself when he was out here because from what research I've done, it's actually quite expensive to have dogs groomed here. Sorry. Yeah, it's quite expensive to have dogs groomed here. So when I was in the UK, I was paying like £30–35 every 6 weeks for a full groom. But from what I gather here, it's more like £100. And obviously, because it's hotter here, I'm going to need to have him done more often. So that's just quite a big expense, having that done every month or so. So I just thought, sod it, I'll buy some clippers and it can't be that hard. I'll do it myself. And so that's what I've been doing. It's not that hard to do. And like I said, he's really good. He makes it really easy for me because he's just so used to it, so he just stands there. But I am not a professional dog groomer by any means. And I kind of have to do like scissors around his face because he doesn't like the clippers around his face. So his face is always the messiest part because it's just, I've basically hacked into it with scissors. I wanted to talk a little bit about my thoughts on what it's like having a dog in the UAE, because I've had quite a few messages on Instagram from people just checking in on how Ronnie's settling in and how we're getting on having a dog here, which is very, very nice. But it is different, and there are more things to consider. For me personally, I don't have a normal 9-to-5 job where I'm going to an office. So I have the time to spend all day with Ronnie, and we go for nice little walks. We just have a really nice routine. But he's given me that routine really, and that's selfishly what I really like about having a dog. I obviously love him. Ronnie, this way. But yeah, one of the main reasons is because he gives me just a complete routine, and the responsibility as well. I love that part of having a dog. Are you coming up? Come on, away from the bins. So obviously the factor that probably most people would be concerned with having a dog here is the heat. Now, we haven't experienced the full-on summer here yet, so I can't speak to extreme heat. We have experienced like mid-30s. Come on, come in this way. And for me personally, it's like you just have to be smart about it. So we get up in the morning at like 7. We're out of the house by 20 past, especially this week because it's getting a little bit warmer. And then we do an hour's walk, and then he gets another walk at lunchtime, which is just like a wee and a poo, which is what I'm doing now. Not the wee and the poo, he is. And then he gets another one in the evening, like just after his dinner, which is enough for him. He's perfectly comfortable and he's in that routine now. He knows the times that we're going out. Heat wise, mornings are fine. The lunchtime one, which is what we're doing now, is hot. We're only just walking up and down this little path, so it's not like, I'm not doing full-on walks with him off the lead and all of that. But it is hot, and he's really hot by the time we get back, and it is only 28 degrees. It's going to get a lot hotter than this. So I think you just have to be smart about it and go at specific times of the day. Make sure you do big walks earlier on in the day or in the evenings. Makes things easier heat wise. But also there's this company, I can't remember the name of the company. I'll put it on the screen, but it's basically a company who they deliver it sounds really bougie. They deliver a fresh patch of grass to you every 2 weeks, or however often you need a patch of grass to put on your balcony, because obviously it's a lot of apartment living here, a lot of dogs in apartments. Come on then, he's hot now. So they deliver a fresh patch of grass however often you need it, and then they can do their business on the balcony. So we ordered one of those when Ronnie first came, but he won't use it. I've tried every trick in the book. I've bought special spray. I have come outside when he's done a wee and soaked up a kitchen towel with his wee and put it under the grass to see if that would make him pee on it, but he just won't. So there is such a thing as dogs being too trained to use those sorts of things, because he's used to having a garden and he's used to, you know, just being able to go outside and pee in the garden. But I think some dogs find it difficult to differentiate the apartment from the balcony as being outside. So it can be, just harder for them to know that they've got permission to pee out there. So yeah, that's been a bit of a fail. We've even had my friend's dog, Emma's dog Millie. Ronnie, come in quick. Millie came over and peed on it and pooed on it, and he still won't go anywhere near it. I think another reason why I love having a dog here is we found some really lovely walking routes that we probably wouldn't never have found if we hadn't, you know, been out a lot with him, because I think you just do, you just find places, and then often we're on a walk and he's like desperately pulling me one way for some reason or another, and we found like really nice routes that way. So yeah, that's another pro of having a dog here. Something else that other people have mentioned is about vets and pet insurance. So pet insurance isn't really a thing here. I think it's becoming something, but it's not really that popular here. I think there's only one company that maybe provides it, and it's probably quite expensive, but I haven't looked into it enough. So insurance isn't really a thing here, so you need to make sure that you have, whether it's like funds set aside for that purpose, or I don't know, you know, maybe you have your own insurance fund, I guess, for that. But yeah, there's no not really any insurance policies for the pets. And then vets, so he goes to a British vets in Khalifa City, which is only about 10 minutes away for us, but there are all different types of vets that provide all different kinds of services as well. So you can have like emergency vets, just like in the UK, or I guess any other country. But you also have specific vets for like the German vets, Australian vets, British vets. So if there's a particular nationality you like, any kind of background in education, if that's something that you consider, there are so many options here for vets. In terms of price, it is pricier, I found, but then we've only been once, and that was just for vaccines. So he hasn't had to have anything done. He's just had some vaccines, and he gets his anal glands expressed every 6 months or so. So it's not anything crazy that we've had to pay out for. But it is more expensive than the UK. Marginally, but still more. Which is much like everything else here is more expensive than the UK for the most part. But you can basically go on any of the vets' websites and figure out who the vets are, where they trained, what they specialise in, and all that kind of stuff. So that's how, that's how we found the vets. All of the vets have training and education in the UK, so that was something that we felt was quite important, mainly because Ronnie's breed is a British breed and it's not very common in other countries. No one's ever heard of a Bedlington Terrier whenever they ask us what he is, anyone here. So that was quite important to us, that we wanted vets who have specifically trained in the UK. So yeah, that's it for vets really. I don't think there's much to add to the vets. If you do have any questions, you can just message me on Instagram or just leave a comment and I'll get back to you. Another question that someone asked me was about whether the UAE is dog friendly, in particular Abu Dhabi. I would say overall no, not really dog friendly. I think businesses have to have a special license to allow dogs into the premises, and it's quite an expensive license. So not many places at all allow dogs. You can sit outside with them in cafes and restaurants, which is great. We have done that a few times. That's always been quite easy for us. I think culturally, dogs aren't, I think maybe there's just cultural differences with how people view dogs here. I think that they're often seen as like outside animals and not indoor pets. So I found a lot of the time, if we're going downstairs like to go out for a walk, and there's someone in the lift, a lot of the time people don't want us in the lift at the same time. They'll literally just say no, thank you. So that can be, I mean, obviously I respect all cultures and their ways, but sometimes it can be really frustrating because he's like desperate for a wee and I'm like, I just want to get downstairs. Especially because he's like small and really friendly, so it's just, I don't know, but again, it's a cultural thing, so I get it. But yeah, I think the majority of people don't love dogs here, but then the people that do will always stop and talk to you. I've actually talked to so many people on our walks. He's met so many other expat dogs and dogs that have been adopted here. Mostly from expats, not locals, I will say that. But then, you know, there are locals who live in this building who have, you know, who are really friendly with him. So I guess I'm just generalising here. But I would say as an overall generalisation, it's not a very dog-friendly place, but that doesn't mean to say you can't have a dog here or that dogs aren't welcome here or anything like that. They most definitely are. But I'm just comparing it to the UK, where we lived in the countryside in Lincolnshire in the UK, where you could just take a dog into pretty much anywhere. Things change here all the time, so maybe that's something as well that would change with time. The more and more dogs, more and more expat dogs, the more the rules will change. So it's the next day. I finished filming yesterday the clips that you've just seen, and I went and asked on my Instagram story if anyone had any more questions about having a dog in the UAE, because I know it's a topic that I had questions on before I moved here. And we just bit the bullet and did it. But I think the main ones I kind of answered already, but there were a couple more just mainly about coping in the heat. And as far as the heat goes, I think a lot of it is just kind of common sense. So it's now, it's kind of getting into the high 30s, early 40s, which is very hot. But having said that, I have noticed that the heat here is different to the heat in the UK. 40 degrees here doesn't feel as oppressive as 40 degrees in the UK. I don't know why that is. I think it's probably because they say it's a dry heat here. I don't really know what that means, to be honest, but it doesn't feel as hot. It's hot, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't feel as hot. I haven't been here for summer, so I can't talk to, you know, when it gets into the 40s and maybe even up to 50, which I can't even think about. So we haven't lived here for a summer to be able to, I can't give you like information on that because I haven't been here. But I'll just say that I think it's common sense. I think it's taking them for walks before the sun comes up in the morning. Daytime, if they have to go out, they have to go out, but make it as quick as possible. And then making sure they've always got water. I actually use, let me find it. Oh, it's in the sink because I used it this morning. So I have this thing for Ronnie, which is basically like an insulated water bottle. So it keeps the water cold. I actually fill this kind of 90% with water, and then the rest, I just put like a little dash of milk in it because it makes him drink it because he's spoiled. So I take that around with me and it stays really cold for his whole walk. And I would say it's kind of common sense. In the daytime, it's fine when they're in the aircon. I haven't got the aircon now, for instance. It's 40 degrees outside and it doesn't feel that hot. I mean, it's probably, I think the thermostat says it's 25, which is hot, but it doesn't feel like crazy. I mean, Ronnie's just like chilling somewhere. So yeah, it's just about managing it. It's not impossible. but I think you just have to be a bit smart. Just, don't go out in the broad sun. If you can find areas where there's more shaded places to walk them, that's what we did. We found a route in the morning that he's in the shade for, I would say, a good 60% of the walk. So that's quite helpful. And then another question somebody asked me was about, a couple of people asked me actually about the actual move. I'll do a full video on this because there's quite a lot to go into. It's quite an in-depth process, but I'll touch on it quickly. So we used a company called Pawsome Pets because we read the reviews for a few different companies, and we liked the fact that Pawsome Pets are based in Dubai, which is where we were flying Ronnie into from Heathrow. And so they are fully versed in all of the permits and everything that he would need to enter the country, which obviously the other companies are as well. But because they're based here, I just felt more comfortable that they would get things done quickly. And they did. They were very helpful. I would recommend them to anyone. In fact, I did when we moved here, when our neighbours saw us actually outside when we had like a reunion with Ronnie. We bumped into the neighbours the next day and they said, oh, we're actually moving to Brazil, and we wanted to know how you found Pawsome Pets. And I highly recommended it to them. I think they used them to move, so that's nice. But yeah, I mean, it's not a nice process. It's not a nice day for anybody. The day that they fly, obviously you're constantly just like checking your phone, but it's one day of discomfort and one day of everybody just being on edge. But once they're reunited and you get back into a routine, it's fine. You obviously have to go for all your vet checks and they have to have vaccines. I mean, it depends what country you're moving to, but to come here, you had to have specific vaccines. Again, I'll go into detail about all of that in another video. The cost of it, I believe, it was a few months ago now. It was about 6 months ago, I think, that we did it all. But I think it was about £4,000 all in to move him, which was the most expensive part of the move, I think, for us. So yeah, it's not cheap, but we wouldn't have done it if we couldn't have him here. So I think that's everything that I've been asked over the past few months about having a dog in the UAE, specifically Abu Dhabi. But if you've got any more questions about having a dog here, leave them in the comments and I will maybe do a part 2 to this or answer them over on Instagram or something like that. I will do another video on the full moving process as well, because I know that that's something that a lot of people want to know about. So I'll talk through everything from start to finish, how long it took, all the vaccines you needed, the cost, everything. I'll put that all in another video. But yeah, thank you for watching and I'll see you in my next one.